Sunday fun day, going back the week on a Monday day. Yes, sir. Let's get back 4 more minutes. We'll start the room up. If you want to invite some people in the room, you can feel free to tweet, retweet the room. It's going to be a good conversation. Going to be an excellent conversation. Every Sunday we be doing these conversations. Today I was traveling, so I did not get to advertise the fact that we were doing the room. But just know, wherever I'm at in the world, I'm gonna take a little time out to get some knowledge, listen to some people break me off some knowledge, because I learn a lot in these rooms, more than you can imagine. More than you can imagine. I know it was all kind of groups of black folks that don't like black people. I didn't even know it was different types of black people. I thought we were all one. But that shit exists. Crazier things have existed in this world on different platforms, and you learn about these things when you go to different platforms. Things that happen on Twitter don't happen everywhere. Definitely got to know that. Twitter is its own animal. But we got to talk about this vote thing here. I'm going to get 3 more minutes, and then we'll fire up the conversation. Like I said, hopefully you guys are having a great Sunday. You had a great weekend. You made it. All this shooting and killing, going on. They starting to kill white people. Shit. White people killing white people. White police killing black people. That ain't stop. Shit that been going on forever. That's been going on forever. Some things don't stop. Now the white people killing, I don't know what the hell that's all about. Mass murders. That's a whole nother conversation. 2 more minutes, people. We're gonna start them. I always give, color folks have colorful time. So I give them 5 minutes to get in the room before I fire it up. But I'm just happy y'all made it. You got all this shit going on around, killing people, coronavirus, people getting put out their houses and shit. If you're getting put out your house because you can't pay the rent, because it's out of control, then that's a whole nother movie. Rent, mortgage, everything. See, my black people be getting mad with me when I go off on the president, even though I'm liberal. Well, I'm not liberal. I'm Democrat. They get mad at me, boy. They think I be trying to tell. As soon as I say something bad about the president, they be like, "Oh, you try to tell people not to vote." So I made sure I did this room today and put on there. It's a must that black people vote in the next election. You will not find them in this room. Matter of fact, let me go and DM their ass so they can come in here because they're always fucking with me when it's time. When I make a statement where they all put their own little spin to it, let me DM them right now. Let me DM them right now. Let me send them a nice little link. Um, and then get this room started. Invite Joy Reid. Where's Joy? So, invited Joy Reid. Okay. Where is Roland Martin? Hill, Jamel Hill, Jamel Hill, Roland Martin. I invited them all. So now y'all know. I invited them all to come in into the room. All right. It's 7:06. I know I did this in an impromptu way. I normally advertise it, let people say the date, say the time. It don't matter about how many people we have in the room because we can have, the longer we're on here, the more people come in. If you want to retweet the room, I think it's an interesting topic that most people need to hear about. You could always retweet it. But I try and come on here and do Sunday conversations about African Americans and try to share some thoughts with African Americans all around the country. I love this platform because you can hear the voices. I go on my Facebook, YouTube channel and sit down and have conversations. You can only see, the comments. And a lot of people have a lot of comments. And that platform is 30, 40,000 people that tune in to what I'm talking about in the guests that I have on there. So if you ever see that, and then it shows up sometime on Facebook on July 19th, July 19th. I think it's what is it? July 19th. I'm gonna have the young lady, the commissioner of agriculture who's running for governor, Nikki Free, on July 19th. So I want y'all to check that out. And also that same night, wow, my documentary on A&E uh, appears. So that is a big night. All right, let's get into the conversation, people. Here's the rules of engagement in this space. As usual, if you are a regular in this space, what we do is we bring people up to speak. On Twitter, unfortunately, it only allows 10 people to come up and speak. So after you speak, uh, I'm sorry, let me slow down, been traveling. Okay, when I bring you up to speak in the speaker's room, like I said, it's only 10 people that are able to speak. When you get into the speaker's room, if you want to speak, please put your hand up. There's a little button down there that puts your hand up. If a person has spoke and you want to rebut what they said, you do not have to have your hand up. After you spoke, and if you haven't spoken in a minute, then I will take you down, put you back into the listener's room. You can always asked to speak again, that does not mean I want you to go and leave and go about your merry business. Nope, that's me bringing up new speakers because most of the time in my rooms, I have a shitload of people who are requesting to speak. I can see it on my end. I don't know if you can see it on your end, but I have a shitload of people. So the only reason why I take people down out of the speaker's room is to bring people in. We have a healthy conversation. We don't get into the N word. We don't get into, you can have a heated conversation with somebody, but just make sure it's respectable. Listen, we don't call women out their name and women, we don't call men out their name. So we don't do that in this room. If you do it, I'll hit the mute button and say, cool out, tone it down. If you continue it, then I will remove you from the room. And that's how it works. It's a respectable room. We have healthy conversation. We could agree to disagree. That is no problem. This ain't no room where we want everybody agreeing with everybody. Everybody ain't gonna agree with me. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. This room is about to my rooms on Sunday are about educating people, putting people up on game, putting people up on knowledge. I don't think we do enough talking as a people. We don't do enough talking as a people. We allow the television and these big conglomerates to influence our vote, influence us as a people. We don't do enough talking. The more we do, the more we talk, the more we'll find that we have a lot in common. Lot in common, no matter what your economical status is. When you're black, you are black. You could be a black person with $1 million, $10 million, making $30,000. You're still black and you're still living a black life regardless of your economical status. You are black and you're going to face the same thing your kids are going to face. And so, what we need to try to do in these rooms, I try to just educate people on different things. So, with that said, we can fire, we can go from here. We are not talking, oh, there's my good friend, Roland Martin. God damn it, Roland Martin is in here. Let me bring him up to speak right now. Yes, sir, buddy. With that said, we are going to sit in here and have a good conversation. My good friend Marlon Hill is in here. Boy, I got some heavy hitters up in here today. Jesus Christ. Man. So with that said, people, the whole we're going to talk about why it's important for African Americans to vote. And I'm honored to have Roland Martin up in the room. Y'all got a beast up in here. I know I was going to get rolling in one of these rooms. He's straight off the golf course. Roland, when you gonna go play my brother golf course? What's the hold up?
Hey
Do we
man,
need to?
actually, I'm now on the golf course. I wish I was. I'm actually in Los Angeles. The great Richard Roundtree has turned 80 years old,
Wow.
and he's got his birthday party this evening. And his daughter invited me. And then Friday, he asked the guy putting it together. He wanted it live streamed because a lot of his relatives back east can't come out. So I hooked him up, and so we're going to be live streaming his birthday celebration. So
Oh, that's
uh,
tonight.
that's tonight. So 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Pacific. So 9 p.m. Eastern. So just look for it on the Black Star Network, my YouTube channel, Facebook, all my platforms. So we'll be paying tribute to Richard Roundtree, the original Shaft.
The original chef.
Yes,
I saw
sir.
you earlier complaining about breakfast being over at
Come on,
10:30
bruh.
a.m.
Damn,
Come on, brother. You
10,
fly around the country like me. You know, you know.
it's look, I get it in the airport, but damn, hotel 10:36 a.m. Come on, man. Shit, I don't be waking up at no 7 o'clock to eat no breakfast on no Sunday. Damn. It's all
Hey,
right. I found me some.
I already know. I already know you got a bunch. It's what most people don't know. It's a bunch of soul food restaurants in LA.
Yeah, so it's all good. It's all good. Well, man, when you sit the DM talking about your this topic, and and I deal with I love the people who always I love these people who are like, hey, Roland Martin, you out there selling out for the Democrats, and I keep trying to walk these people through who have no understanding of politics when you have to connect the dots. That first and foremost, when it comes to black people are among the smartest voters in America. We've always been that way. If you go back to the early 1900s when African Americans were voting Republican, we understood Southern Democrats and their opposition to civil rights. We understood Republicans, and then we saw the shift that began to happen with FDR, and it continued all the way up through Kennedy versus Nixon, and then, of course, solidified in 1964 when Senator Barry Goldwater opposed the Civil Rights Act, and then even Dr. King campaigned. Let me say that again. Even Dr. King campaigned on behalf of President Lyndon Baines Johnson. It was not that he saw Johnson as this great savior. What he understood, though, was in order to achieve what Black people wanted to achieve, he understood how the vote has to go. And what I need people to understand, my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, drops in September, Luther. And what people need to understand, and folk, y'all can write this down. If y'all been watching me for years, you know I'm not playing with this. What they have in store, what Republicans have in store, pales in comparison to what you've already seen. When you talk about, I'm telling you, what is scaring them is 2043 when the emerging minority becomes the national majority, and they want to lock this white power in place for the next 100 years. If y'all ain't studied the Reconstruction period, you had better study it. Read Du Bois' book on it, Eric Foner's book on the Reconstruction, because you need to understand what is happening right now. Luke, in the history of America, white backlash has always followed black success. White backlash has always followed white success. And that's what you're seeing right now. And when I hear black folks, man, I ain't seen nothing happen, so therefore I'm not going to vote. They remember when Trump said thank you? Remember he thanked black people for not voting in 2016? If you were
Yep.
pissed off, if you were pissed off about the Supreme Court decision, not just, let me be clear, not just Roe v. Wade. I'm talking about the gerrymandering decision. I'm talking about the EPA decision. I mean, I can go on and on and on. They were happy when we didn't show up in 2016. They were happy when we didn't show up for the midterm election in 2010. They were happy when we didn't show up in record numbers in these elections because they understand what our power looks like. And if we selfishly pissed off, I'm gonna sit out because we voted in 2020 and I didn't see anything. Well, shit, black folks have voted for a number of years and we're still fighting and trying to get things. Doesn't mean that we give up. Doesn't mean that we sit out. Doesn't mean that we don't still push, prod, and engage folk. But I'm warning everybody: if you think what you've seen so far has been crazy, the Supreme Court just decided to take up a case that would invoke this crazy legal theory that state legislatures don't even have to abide by state Supreme Court decisions when it comes to an election. Y'all, brother, if people, and I'm talking to you in Florida, they can't wait for that case. Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, where our people are, if you think it's hard right now, all you got to do is, this is my last point, go back to the Mississippi Constitutional Convention of 1890. The white folks in Mississippi were so pissed off that black people kept getting elected, they literally held a constitutional convention and changed the convention. There was one black delegate. His name was Isaiah T. Montgomery, and they stripped black people of the right to vote. Ever since that convention in 1890, there has not been a single African American elected statewide in Mississippi. Y'all, the same thing they're trying to do, just in a more sophisticated manner.
Wow. And let me I'm happy that you came on here, Roland, because I'll be having these conversations on Sundays and Twitter is a whole nother world. I didn't know it was I didn't know it was all kind of different groups of black people that just feel that it's not important to vote. On Facebook, everywhere else, people realize that it's important to vote. So I try to come on here, but I'm glad you broke that down and gave these young folks some knowledge because for whatever reason, we have a group of African Americans just don't think we should vote. Don't think there's no reason we should vote. And I'm pretty sure it's a lot of them in this room. I mean, you deal with politics and you've been dealing with it forever. I mean, that's your thing. Outside, I mean, when you look at the Democratic Party, right? When you look at the president and not the president and his policies, you look at the gas prices, you look at the you look at sending, the biggest topic of, frustration of African Americans, like, hey, hold on, we living in poverty, but we sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, and things like that. And the price gouging at the houses on the housing level. How what do you say? What would you
Got
say to black folks to say we still gotta support
got
this party even though these are difficult times for us?
So let me unpack that. First of all, I'm gonna go in reverse order. You dealt with housing first. First of all, this is why y'all have got to stop watching mainstream media where they only talk about you when it comes to pathology. Okay, for 2 hours a night since September 2018, it was 1 hour. I break this down on Roland Martin Unfiltered every single night on the Black Star Network. Download the app; it's free. Is I don't charge you on housing. I'm about to blow y'all away. In the last decade, in the last decade, 5.8 million homes were built. That is the fewest number of homes that were built in a decade since the 1930s. Let me repeat that. In the last decade, and that's 2010 to 2020, 5.8 million homes were built in America. That is the fewest number of homes that were built since the 1930s. On average, 20 million homes were built in America in every decade between the 1940s and 2010. So you have to understand why there is a housing crunch. It's one thing to go, Biden ain't know shit about housing. Well, first of all, Biden don't build no houses. Parties don't build houses. Okay, developers build houses. When the home foreclosure crisis hit in 2007, we saw it appear in 2008, and then of course it got exacerbated in 2009. Y'all, listen to me. Black wealth, we lost 53% of black wealth. What happened was developers said, well, shit, we got a housing crisis. We're not going to build any damn housing because no one can simply afford the houses. We were in an economic calamity. It took us until 2014 to really come out of that. Now, what did I just say? Housing crisis, 2007, 2008, 2009. We came out of it in 2014. Remember those things called toxic assets? The banks were trying to get them off their books. Here's what happened. They borrowed money from the federal government. Federal government, us taxpayers, to save their asses. They bolstered their books. Then they held onto the housing because they said, well, shit, they no longer toxic. And then after when the economy shifted, they then began to sell blocks of those homes, 25, 30,000 to private equity. So that's why private equity now owns hundreds of thousands of homes. And so they don't want you to buy the homes. They want you to keep renting because rents have skyrocketed. So understand that. So what needs to be happening right now, we need to be having the building of housing in order to lower the price because right now you have scarcity, so therefore demand went up. Facts, and we break it down all the time. Now, you mentioned people say I shouldn't vote. Understand, you are more impacted not what happens in DC, but what happens in your city. And so the issue in terms of how do we vote is not even Democrat Republican. Most city elections are nonpartisan. When people run for the school board or when they run for city council, those are not partisan elections. Most of them are nonpartisan. And so what is happening though is we're not even exercising our power locally. Atlanta is the black mecca because black people first put in place Maynard Jackson. Keep in mind that black people were getting 0.0012% of all city contracts in 1972. Let me slow that down for the person who didn't get it. We weren't getting 1% of the contracts. We weren't getting 0.5% of the contracts. We weren't getting 0.25% of the contracts. We were not getting 0.1% of the city contracts. We were getting 0.0012% of the city contracts.
Same thing in Dade County.
Now, so Maynard Jackson comes in. He says tumbleweeds will be rolling down the runways of Atlanta Airport before I allow it to be rebuilt unless black people get money. And so he combined the ballot. His grandfather Dobbs taught him the three B's: the ballot, the book, and the buck. He understood how all three work together. He used political power to leverage economic power. That's why Atlanta economically is the black mecca today because of what he did. Now, what that means is, but what has happened? You almost saw a white woman become a mayor in Atlanta when Keisha Lance Bottoms won. She only won by what, 700 votes. Okay, and so what has happened is we are just like sitting back. Well, man, I'm not sitting here voting. Now, if when you look at city numbers and 18% of the electorate votes and 20% electorate votes, that means that only 18 to 20% of those who are voting are actually deciding it. Mondale Robinson, y'all look him up. I had him on my. If you go look at my Poor People's Coverage campaign from a few weeks ago, he just got elected in a town in North Carolina that is 95% black, where they had a white Republican mayor. Uh oh, did y'all just hear me?
Wow.
Let me say that again.
No, say that again for the people in
That
the
was a
back.
that was a town in North Carolina. I can't remember the name. Town so small I can't remember the name. But is that Mondale, Mondale, Robinson, Robinson. He led the Black Male Voter Project. He ran for mayor in his hometown in North Carolina. It's 3,000 people. A white Republican mayor of a city where 95 that is 95% black. He ran on a progressive agenda, went and knocked on doors nobody else did, and won 75% of the vote.
Wow.
He told me they would have city council meetings and there'll only be 10 to 12 people at every council meeting. They were all white in a town that's 95% black.
Ain't that about a female dog?
So he ran, just got elected. He was just sworn in, let's say, I think a week, like 2 Tuesdays ago. So he didn't sit here and give up. Now, but he said, no, somebody got to run. Now remember Ferguson? Ferguson, when Mike Brown get killed, people we learned that Ferguson was 67% black and had never had a black mayor. So what is happening, black folks, is we are living in places and we are not participating in the political process, and they running a train on us because they're controlling the politics. When you control the politics, you control the money. When I say you control the money, you control the contracts, the construction contracts, the engineering contracts, the janitorial contracts. You control the landscaping contracts. You can control everything. And so we have got to learn that voting is a part of a multi-pronged process. This is what happened in 2008. We elected Obama. I did my part. I remember I was a Wanda Sykes show. I did my part. I said, no, Wanda, you ain't done with your part. The election is end of one process, beginning of another. Now, Luke, you said I've been in this politics thing my whole life. Let me help y'all out who don't even know my history. Mama and daddy were civic club founders. My mama and daddy never went to college. I grew up in an all black neighborhood where a group of black people, and there were haters who were saying, man, y'all ain't gonna do nothing. Said, you know what? We care about our community. We tired of these crack houses. We tired of overgrown lots. We tired of trash. And so they said, we're gonna form a civic club. These were not these were not all middle class, upper middle class, high income, college degree, masters and PhDs. No, they had no degrees, but they had a whole lot of damn common sense. And I sat there, 7, 8, 9, having to pass out flyers. And you know what they did? They said, well, who's in charge of trash pickup? Oh, that's the city, was at the county. Well, let's find out who it is. And all of a sudden, boom, begin to make the petition, trucks coming out picking up heavy trash. Then, well, who's in charge of tearing down these abandoned homes that have become crack dens? They found that out. We got an old fire station that's not been used. We believe that should be a senior citizen center. Well, who owns that? Oh, is that the city, the county, or the state? Oh, well, what do we need to do? Bond money to all of a sudden, my community got transformed because regular, ordinary people got involved in the electoral process after the election. So, what I'm saying to everybody who's listening, we've got to stop sitting here and being so fucking emotional. And we've got to stop being, frankly, electorally illiterate and realize that when we sit out elections, we literally are letting somebody else run game on us. And so, what I want us to understand is that this is not Democrat versus Republican. This is who actually supports your neighborhood. And let me mess y'all some of y'all up. I voted for some Republicans in the past. Do you know why? Because depending upon that election in my community, I had some Republican candidates who were more aggressive on our concerns than the Democratic candidate was. And guess what? Black folks penalized the Democrats because they wasn't handling our business. Now, you have to then go to the person who's running. What's your agenda? Where do we fit in? Where do you stand on key set of issues? Go read Randall Robinson's book, The Debt, where Maynard Jackson, he also talked to us about Maynard Jackson, where Maynard said we need to come up with a list of demands on a card that fits, like fit in your back pocket. and say, where do you stand on this? And if they disagree with us on a multiple number of issues, say we can't support you. What we have to understand right now, nationally, I'm gonna go nationally, and on the state level, depending upon your state, the Republican Party is a far right party. They're, they're the Republicans who I voted for in the past, and my family has, and other black people. Those moderate Republicans, they're gone. You no longer have a liberal Republican. Look it up. Ed Brooke, the first black United States senator since Reconstruction, Massachusetts. That brother was a Republican, but he was a liberal Republican. He was the one who broke the filibuster that got us the Fair Housing Act. Okay, that was Ed Brooke. He don't exist anymore. Senator Tim Scott ain't no Ed Brooke. Ain't even close. Byron Donalds in Florida, the congressman, he ain't no Ed Brooke. Burgess Owens, Republican from Utah, he is not an Ed Brooke. So they're all gone. So you now have to go, okay, where do these cats fall and where do they stand on my fundamental issues? And when you start looking at that, now and then who are the people they're supporting? If these people, if this person was running for Congress or U.S. Senator, if they want more Supreme Court justices like Clarence Thomas, ain't no one here I can support them. End of conversation. So I need us to be far more engaged. I had a sister, this is the last point, Blue, I'm going to give back to you. 2020, black woman, 2016, black woman called my radio show and she says, I'm just not feeling Hillary, and so I'm just going to sit the election out. I'm just going to focus on state issues. I said, baby, where you live? She said, North Carolina. I said, well, give me your top three issues. The top three issues she named, every single one of them tied directly back to who was president. She said voting rights. I said, you do know that in your state, Republicans have putting in voter suppression bills, and it's the federal courts that have been stopping them from moving forward. She says, I know. I said, well, who do you think appoints federal judges? The president. So who do you think confirms federal judges? The United States Senate. I said, so how are you going to sit the presidential election out? What you say voting rights is one of your issues when the person who confirms the federal judges going to determine elections in your area. She then went to other two issues, and I showed her how the presidency and the Senate has a direct impact on that election. I said, "Baby, you got to connect the dots." She was so unhappy that coming off Obama, because you asked the question, you got to remember, Luke, you and I, we were born and white folks were president. We were a generation of people who literally were born coming of age that had a black president. So they see the world totally different. We don't. Okay. Thurgood Marshall becoming the Supreme Court didn't mean that racism no longer existed in the criminal justice system. Doug Wilder becoming the first black elected governor in Virginia, in America, in Virginia, didn't mean that all of a sudden that these things have changed. What I need our people to understand that when we are losing our numbers, and the last point, because you see you there in Florida, why did Andrew Gillum lose? The top 14 counties in Florida, you had to get to number 11 before you had a total turnout in a county that was blue. That was Broward County, 57%, I believe. Miami-Dade was at 54. The Republican counties, the turnout from the top 10 was anywhere between 65 and 75. So what I mean by that is when you see elections in Louisiana, the top three cities in New Orleans, black turnout is between 24 and 36%. Imagine if we pushed black turnout to 50, 60%. Doc, we change elections. North Carolina, black turnout was 76% when Obama ran in 2008. That's why he won by 14,100 votes. In the 2018 midterms, black turnout was 48%. How you think our candidate didn't win? So the point I'm making is when we don't vote, when our turnout dramatically drops, baby, we basically guaranteeing who we want will never win. We've got to be thinking, pushing our turnout in every election, school board, city council, county government, DA, judicial race, water district, state rep, state senate, governor, Congress, U.S. Senator, presidency. We should be saying the turnout is going to be at a minimum black turnout. Not everybody else, black turnout, a minimum 50%, but we want to strive for 60, 70, because when we hit those numbers, we elect folk who look like us and support our positions.
My man, listen, man, I'm so honored to have you. And I know you got an event to go to, but I got a few people who want to ask a few questions.
Yeah, can
Uh,
I can I please?
hold on, hold
I
on.
would like to speak as well.
I was
Yes,
after
yes.
Mel.
Hold
I
on.
was
Mel
after
had his
Mel.
hand up first. Hey, Mel had his hand up first. We're gonna do this in an orderly fashion. Steve, you gotta. Hey, and I want to introduce you to two bright guys in Miami who's very involved in everything. That's two guys up there, Steve Hunter, and then we got my other guy, Marlon Hill. Them dudes, they push the envelope the same way here. Okay, Mel, go ahead, Mel. It's on you.
Yo, peace to everybody, peace to the room. I just want to say, as a Floridian, as a foundational Black American, as a veteran of the United States Army, I am voting, but I'm voting for tangibles, and I'm voting for tougher immigration laws in the United States of America. If there's no tangibles, why are we to vote? We need tangibles in the United States. And Luke, you said that Miami was built by Bahamians. That was incorrect, and that was very disrespectful to my ancestors who've been in Florida before it was a state. It's very disrespectful. Um, Without Overtown, there would be no Little Haiti. There would be no Miami without. Yeah.
Hey,
Okay,
Luke, you gonna address that because
nah. We talk. We if people. We got the great Roland Martin in here. If you want to ask them some
Can I
questions,
can
wait.
I
Hold
please
on,
ask
hold
him a
on,
question?
Karen. Hold on,
Because I
hold on.
want to go home too.
Hold on. I know. Let me just make sure that I got the room under control here. We could talk. Roland don't have that much time, so we can talk about who built what. When we got the great guy off. So if there's a question for Roland Martin, put your hand up. I know bad guy had
Hey,
his hand
Luke,
up.
I
Then
do
you,
have a
Karen.
question for Roland, so
Okay.
I'm
All
just
right,
getting
bad
myself
guy.
prepared.
Yup, I'm ready when you
And then
ready.
Karen. Go ahead.
All right, bet. Uh, I don't be voting at this point. I'm glad he's here. Maybe y'all can help me. Uh, I'm really on some. I'm about to sell my vote to whoever's the highest bidder at this point because of a lot of the reasons what Roland said. But like you said, if we don't vote, whoever we want won't go. I don't want none of them. That's where I'm getting lost, Roland. I don't care for them. Man, I trust no politician, my friend. You feel me? So like, I don't want to play the game. But then I start hearing this and that. It's like, hey, Roland, whoever you want me to vote for, I'm starting at $1,000. My
Okay,
cash
so
app. I'm gonna send it to your bio,
well, here's
to
the
your
deal.
DM.
First of all, you do that, you're gonna
That's the
that's
most ignorant thing I've
no, no,
ever
no. Hold on,
said,
hold
and
on,
you
hold on,
should
hold on,
be
hold on,
How
hold on,
is
ashamed.
it ignorant? Because
hold
that's
on,
how
hold
we
on,
feel.
hold on.
We're
so
not
I'm muting
voting,
the
but we have a vote, and y'all telling.
I'm muting the room because it got out of control. So Mr. Martin was going to reply to you, bad guy. I think he should just have that time to do so. Thank you.
Yup, it's okay.
Brother. First of all, what you just proposed is illegal. That's the first thing. If anyone buys your vote, they literally are breaking the law. So that's just that. Second of all, when you look, I understand when people say I don't like none of them, but let me be real clear. Just because you don't like any of them doesn't mean one of them isn't going to win. Okay, one of them is going to win. One of them will be in power. Do you know what happened in? Let me just use the example: St. Louis County. The prosecutor that refused to prosecute the cop that killed Mike Brown. Do you realize in the previous 2 to 3 elections he ran unopposed? Nobody ran against him. So guess what? He won automatically. What happened after? In fact, when he gave the decision, he wasn't prosecuting the cop. He gave it, and nobody ran against him in the fall. But that changed a few years later when Wesley Bell challenged him. And guess who won? Wesley Bell. The reason there is a black prosecutor in St. Louis right now is because somebody ran against the prosecutor. The prosecutor who refused to prosecute the cops in the Tamir Rice case in Cuyahoga County, is what Cleveland is. They ran against him in the Democratic primary, he lost. So what I'm trying to get you to understand, I get your frustration, but whatever you want to see changed, there are politicians who literally are making decisions right now, whether you vote or not. What I'm suggesting is by you sitting out, you are letting somebody else who you don't know make decisions for you. And trust me, they are making decisions. Every aspect of every person's life on this call is impacted by government. The moment you're born, you get a birth certificate. That's a government document. When you have to get those shots to go to school, that's government mandated. When you go to school and you sitting in the classroom and they teaching you, that's a government mandated curriculum. When you sit here and have to take standardized tests to get out of the 7th or 8th grade or even to graduate, that is government mandated standardized testing. When you have to have a certain admission into state universities, that is government mandated. When you get married, that's a government document. When you get divorced, that is a government document. And when you die, your death certificate is a government document. So this notion that government has no role in your life is an absolute lie. Sit out if you want to. I'd rather be engaged in a system that has a direct impact on all aspects of my life.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
Hey, so Karen, it's on you. Guys who are co-hosting, I'm not.
Did he say
I
I
don't
could
know.
go?
Yeah, it did sound like he was addressing you, Kirsten, but
Thank you.
he was trying to make a message to his co-host. I'm not sure what it was, so
Okay.
I'll just let you go.
Thank you. This question is for Roland Martin.
Yeah,
Hello.
guys who are co-hosting, don't. I'm just going. People who are requesting, I'm gonna bring them up at one time. Let them speak because I don't want it to get the room to be crazy. All right, so don't.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
understood.
Luke, I got your
Okay, good.
text. So we're gonna bring them up one at a
Yes,
time.
Karen
If you're
is on you.
requested, stay requested. We'll move the people who've come up back down one at a
Is
time.
on.
And
Go
I
ahead.
guess the only other question I have too is to be official with Mr. Martin's time. Do we want to do
Two
time limit?
minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. I'll
Yeah, I don't.
start it.
I just have a question. And I'm coming from a place of opportunity and access. Because I'm a homeowner. I'm a college graduate. Um, I have money in the bank. And I promise you that I have never felt more disenfranchised than I do now. So the choices that I make, and let me be clear, I do vote. I vote in every election, my local elections, the primaries, all of them. Like I live in Fairfax County, and Mr. Martin knows what that is because he lives in an adjacent county to mine, and he knows what that means. And I have lived here for going on 23 years. So the thing is, I have the access and the opportunities to make choices that a lot of people who look like me do not. A lot of people who have similar backgrounds do not have that access, do not have those opportunities. So, what is your suggestion for someone like me who, again, feels completely disenfranchised because they do not feel like there is anyone good to vote for? Like, I've literally been writing in names, and we can speak directly to the Virginia election for governor. There were literally two Black women running, one of which was a charter member of my sororities. Uh, One is a charter member of my sorority at the school I went to. She's been a state senator for years, has put forth many bills. Okay. Two Black women were running on the Democratic Party, and they still raised up someone who sucked to run as the Democratic
30 seconds.
candidate. So, what does someone like me, like I said, who does vote,
I got
but
you.
who doesn't feel like they have anything to vote for, like,
Okay.
what do we do? And how do we stay
Okay.
empowered? And how do we stay happy about what's going on right now?
Well, first of all, let me say this here, that in Fairfax County, in 2019, y'all did throw out one of those hardcore, tough on crime prosecutors and elected a progressive prosecutor who did not believe in, who was in the mold of Krasner in Philadelphia, Marilyn Mosby, and some of the other more progressive prosecutors. So, first of all, that happened. So I just want people to understand that, and that's an example of what happens when people do mobilize and organize. You're absolutely right. What happened where Terry McAuliffe, a former governor, he crazy fundraiser, could decide to run for re-election. You had many people believe you had the targeting of Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, who was the prohibitive favorite, and then he runs and then he beats these candidates and then loses to Youngkin. One of the things that in Virginia, you're talking about 18 to 20% of Virginia's population is African American. This is where mobilizing and organizing comes in. Now, I'm going back to what I know and because of what I saw in terms of my parents and the civic club saw growing up. One of the things that happens is we sort of operate as isolationists, where we say, "Oh, I don't. It's just me. I can't do anything." But the fact of the matter is, we are all part of organizations that have power. So you mentioned the sister. I take it was the sister Delta. Was she AKA? What was she? What was the sorority?
Sorry, I was eating a Reese cup. It was Jennifer.
Right, and she's a
Jennifer
what?
McClellan. She's a Delta.
Okay, all right. So now, granted, our organizations, or the organization itself, cannot endorse candidates because of 501c3, but it doesn't mean that members of organizations can't decide to mobilize and organize. What we don't effectively do is use our already established black organizational power and then shift it politically. That's what I mean by that. I've
Roland,
been
that's not
no,
Roland.
one
That
second.
that's
Hold on,
not
no, no, no,
intellectually. That's not
no, no,
intellectually
no.
honest
Hold on, one
because you
second,
know it is. We
one
got
Hold,
to.
second.
hold on, let him
You
talk.
got you got to let him land his plane, and then you can respond.
Hey, Roland, you're on mute.
Okay, so I understand, sister. You're a Delta. I'm familiar with Delta days. My wife's a Delta. I've spoken at Delta days. I know about other Deltas who are in political office. So, but let me fully explain it so you can understand broadly. I'm not talking just about Deltas. I'm talking about Deltas, Alphas, AKAs, Omegas, Kappas, Zetas, Sigma Gamma Rho, Sigmas, Iotas, Prince Hall Masons, Eastern Star, Links, Ladies of Distinction, men's groups, women's. I'm talking about our black infrastructure. I'm talking about Sigma Pi Phi Boule, our infrastructure. So what we have is we have disjointed infrastructure. We also have infrastructure that is positioned where we mobilize and organize not in a continuous fashion. We do so only around election time. What I have long argued is that what we need to have is we have to have black political machines. Black political machines means they are running consistently, that we are looking at the political landscape not only in terms of who's going to be the governor once every 4 years, who is going to be the state office holders. I'm talking about down to even the local positions. And so, as African Americans, that has to happen where we are now not only having that little machine, we also are funding it. Where we are, and we're not hoping that a party funds it. I have traveled this country and I have seen this in numerous cities in numerous states. If you show me a city where you have had consistent black elected leadership, I'm going to show you a machine that funds it, that sustains it, that keeps it in place. And so that has to be done. One of the greatest mistakes, and this came from Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., he said the greatest mistake of his father was after he ran for president in 1988, he did not maintain that machine that he had built to run for president and then weaponized it nationally. What Bernie Sanders did after he ran for president the first time, they then took that thing and turned it into our revolution. So where it continued to go. So what I am arguing is we have to have that level of sophistication in our community. So when the next young brother or sister wants to run, they automatically have a place they can go to that says we already have email lists, cell phone lists, social media lists. We already have resources, and so now we can begin to vet folks and run them. And so that has to happen. I can tell you, somebody who lives in Virginia, I have had these conversations with black folks who are legislators, with black political operatives. We actually that does not exist in Virginia. There are small pockets of it, but I'm talking about what is sustainable, that is in place, that lasts versus, oh, one person used to do it, but they really got tired. No, no, no. We have to have those type of machinery that is in place. That's what I'm arguing.
Cherry Johnson, you got a question?
Good evening, everybody. Hi, Roland.
Hey,
I don't have a question. I have a statement for the young man who talked about selling his vote. You know, Jordan Davis was killed for playing his music loud, and his mother was outraged at the killing of her son. She did not get out complaining about it. She did something about it, and now she's a senator. Sometimes we have to
no,
look
she's a congresswoman. She's a
a
congresswoman.
Congress, excuse me, we have to look at our roles in the political process. Doug Jones was running against Roy Moore. I was one of the black women in Alabama who phone banked and got out and canvassed and worked our asses off to get Doug Jones elected. We can sit here on this platform and point fingers all night long, but we have to take responsibility for our part. I am now the chairwoman for the Henry County chapter of the Alabama Democratic Conference, and I am planning to make a difference in my community on a local level to make sure that people are registered to vote and that people exercise their votes. It's our fault that we have these people coming into office because we don't get out and vote. We've got to do our part. If we don't do our part, we cannot complain. That's all I got.
Now let me
Okay,
add this
thank
here. So I got to add this to what the sister just said because I need people to understand what is happening right now. A federal judge ruled that Alabama has been packing black people into one congressional district, and that Alabama should have two congressional districts. The Supreme Court stepped in and said they're going to review the case, and so same thing happened in Louisiana. There's supposed to be a second black congressional district, but what she just said is still even the case in Alabama. I need people to understand. You might be saying, well, okay, well, we got these white Republicans who are United States senators in Alabama, but you have cities, y'all. Listen to me. You got cities where black folks are in charge, not just Birmingham, not just Montgomery. You can go on and on and on. But I need us to stop thinking only in charge politically. When you're in charge politically, you now guys start talking about how are you in charge of the money. That is the bond elections. That is the annual budgeting. Who's getting those contracts? You've got to look at what Maynard Jackson, how he used political power to exert economic power. Just going to give you one example. You should be telling black folks who are in power, in political power in Alabama. Maynard Jackson, he called the banks in and he said to the banks, um, y'all ain't got no black people in your boards of directors. Y'all need to put black people in your board of directors. They said, we can't find none. He said, city treasurer, step in my office, please. Take the city's money out of their bank. To everybody listening, y'all do know that cities have money. Cities deposit their money in banks. Those banks want those millions. That's how they are able to make loans. When he threatened to pull the money out their banks, they miraculously went out and found black board members in 2 weeks. Then he said to them, I need y'all to extend lines of credit to these black businesses that are receiving city contracts. We pay on a 180-day term. A lot of these businesses cannot float their business for 6 months waiting for the city to pay them. They said, no, we ain't doing that. He said, city treasurer, take our money at the banks. He said, if y'all know that they have been certified and got a city contract, our contract is going to cover the loan. That's how you have Russell Construction. That's how you have major black engineering firms and architecture firms in Atlanta. So if you're in Montgomery, if you're in Mobile, if you're in these cities in Alabama, you can use the same leverage to do so. So what I need people to understand is that you may not be seeing black people elected statewide in Alabama, but just like in Mississippi, you have black people who are elected over these towns. The problem is we are not leveraging our political power to drive the economics because we are still only thinking about politics in the political sphere. Trust me, white folks have been gaming the political system for years because they understand it's the money.
The money. Okay, we got our good friend of our weekend talk, Mr. Marcellus, who's heavy on reparation, who just ran for Congress, man, in the great state of South Carolina. Marcellus, you got a question?
Hey, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. So thank you for having me up to the floor, Luke. I do want to say, yeah, I mean, I feel it's important for black people to vote, but I also feel it's important for black people to have specific policies to address our specific needs. And I was on Karen Hunter's show, and she and I got into a little back and forth about this. And I brought up a point to her. I said, why is it always a mass effort to get us out to vote, which black Americans have been voting at a higher rate of engagement than any other group? But up until the election of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, black Americans were outpacing all other groups, even white Americans, in our rates of growth when it comes to participating in voting. Yet you have groups like Asian Americans and like Hispanics of whatever race who vote at far lower levels of engagement, and yet they've had specific policies done for them. Black Americans, it seems as if there is some type of apprehension to doing something specific for Black Americans. And I'm talking about at the federal level. I want to know when we're going to have spaces getting black politicians at the federal level. And, excuse me, I want to know when we're going to have black politicians at the federal level in these rooms and say why it's important for them to do policies specifically for black people. I need us to
Name
start
it.
putting a responsibility on black politicians and white politicians to do policies specifically for black Americans instead
Name
of
it.
always going to black voters and telling them that we need to come out and vote.
No, name it. First of all, you're speaking in general terms. Like what?
Okay, well, one, like reparations. The other one, like
Okay,
land
no, 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 no.
justice.
Hold up,
Oh,
stop.
no,
Hold
excuse me,
up,
you
stop right
just
there.
said
Hold
name
up,
it.
stop
No,
right
no,
there.
excuse me.
No, no,
You
hold
just
up,
said
hold up.
name it.
Hold
You
up,
just said
stop right
name
there.
it.
Hold up, stop right there. So these reparations. Okay, how many votes you need to get reparations in the House?
We had enough votes in the 90s. We had enough vote in the 2000s. We had enough vote when Obama first got into office. So
No, no,
that
no,
no
no, no.
line is not going to work
No,
with
no,
me. No,
no, no. I'm
literally,
asking
that
you.
line is not going
How
to
many?
work with me. That line is not going to work with me. You're
No, no,
going to
no. I'm
try
not
to
giving
say
you a line.
Yeah, we don't do filibusters. We just don't.
okay,
One person at a time.
Go ahead,
okay.
Mr.
So
Martin. Answer the question, Mr. Martin.
Yeah, what I'm saying is this here. We're having a conversation on July 10th, 2022. So I'm talking about right now. What the question is this here. If you say how many votes you need in the House, how many do you need in the Senate, and how are you going to get there?
we're going to get there by putting politicians from either party who have policies that are specifically for Black Americans. That does not entail voting for a particular party. If it
Name me
wasn't
one
for,
Republican. Name me
excuse me,
one.
no,
Name me
excuse me,
one Republican that
no,
supports
no, no, no,
reparations.
no, no, no. I'm going to finish speaking. I am going to finish speaking. It's because of Black Americans that the Democrats have the presidency, the House, and the Senate, and they still can't get a bill that was introduced in the 1980s where they've had the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
You know what? you should answer Mr. Martin's question. Which Republican is going to support reparations? Just give me one. Give me one. Not Ann Coulter. Give me one.
I don't know any Republican that supports it. I don't know any Democrat
Then
that supports
clearly,
it.
oh,
Okay,
I
hold
got a whole list. I have a
on.
whole, I
I
have a
don't know
whole list,
any
Marcel.
Democrat that supports it because if the Democrats truly supported it, as I'm saying, and I am going to make my point, if the Democrats truly supported it, they had several years to get that pathetic bill that y'all are probably talking about, HR 40, which is just a study of reparations with no specificity. They had ample time to get that bill passed on several occasions in the 90s, several occasions in the early 2000s, several occasions in the 2010s, and they have an opportunity to do it now. They were able to get, surprisingly, Clyburn, the person against whom I ran, he was able to get a bill through the House and through the Senate, which is a form of reparations for a group of Native Americans called the Catawba Native Americans. When he was able to get them 20 acres of land, he was able to do that. They were able to get the COVID-19 hate crime bill, which in implementation is not just for Asian Americans, but if you read the findings, the thing that led to that bill being written was hate crimes against Asian Americans. They got that through the House. They got
And what's in the bill? And
and they
what's in the
got
bill?
it by the presidency. It
And
is
what's in the bill?
in the findings. It's in the findings. The
Oh no,
findings.
I'm aware of the findings.
Right.
I'm aware of the findings. I literally showed the findings on my show. But
Okay,
see,
yes, thank you for that. So thank you. Prove my point. The findings cite anti-hate crimes against Asian Americans. We have over 500 years of hate crimes against Black Americans, descendants of American slaves. And all this time, we haven't gotten anything remotely similar to that. And the
actually,
Emmett
that's not true.
Till
Actually, that's not true.
lynching bill,
Actually, this is not true.
Emmett Till lynching bill is.
I'm gonna give you about 30 more seconds because you guys are speaking over Marcel. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds, land your plane, and then we're gonna let Mr. Martin respond.
Okay, I'm not going to add right now. So my point is this: I want to see. It bothered me, and I'm counting 30 in my mind. It bothered me when Luke asked a simple question: "What has been done for Black Americans, just Black Americans in general?" And instead of people answering his question, people got mad at him for having the audacity to question the Democrats. They don't own us; they owe us. Okay, they've gotten votes from us for 60 damn years, and we can't. And all we've seen is our land going down, home ownership going down, wealth going down. Our unemployment rates are up for Black men underneath this administration, while other groups are getting tangibles and getting their issues put at the forefront. Get the Black politicians in here and tell them why it's important to do policies for us.
All right, Mr. Martin.
Okay, first of all, he just laid out when he mentioned black male unemployment. First of all, he's wrong. Literally the new jobs report just came out where we specifically broke down what the black numbers are and what's happening there. So that's first. Second of all, he is proving exactly what I was talking about earlier. He is having solely a federal conversation. Let me restate this again for the folk who keep missing this. If you are only talking federal, you are completely missing out what is actually happening in America. I'm talking about when we talk about politics, let me say it again. Politics ain't what's happening, just what's happening in DC. It's literally city councils, school boards, state legislatures, it's sheriff's offices, it's DA's offices, it's the election of judges, it's water districts, it's clerks. If we only are so focused on what's happening in DC, we are completely losing out on what is happening in the states. Conservatives actually stop solely focusing on the federal. They know what they realize? Wait a minute, we got red states. Look at Florida, supermajority in Florida. They led the gerrymandering effort there, so they said, wait, we can start passing these bills and start running states. The Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade decision is really about states' rights. Its decision against the New York gun law is about states' rights. Its decision in the EPA case is about states' rights. Its decision regarding political gerrymandering is about states' rights. And so they're like, we're going to return the power to the states. Okay, so they've been running game and on the state level. And so if we're solely focused on federal, we're losing sight of also what's happening in our local communities and what's happening in our states. What I am trying to get us to do is to look at all of it and not solely focus on what's happening in Congress. There are numerous places around America where you have majority black cities and towns. Those places have budgets. You have places, well, the reason Atlanta is changing demographically is because black folks have been moving out of the city of Atlanta, and we have been changing cities that are around Atlanta, and you are seeing black folks now in political power where before you didn't have them. So what I'm trying to get us to understand is to think broader and deeper. Now, I love all these people who sit there and say, "Oh, this is all a bunch of babble," and they like we talk about tangibles. Here's the deal: you can ask of a candidate to support this, but here's the question: can that candidate solely deliver it? You got to answer that question. That's first and foremost. Two, are we doing? And let me say what I mean by we. I'm talking about as a collective. Are we doing to them what Grover Norquist and the anti-tax people did? Are we having them sign pledges? When they're coming to speak to our churches or our groups, are we saying as institutions, hey, you need to sign this, whatever this pledge that if you get elected, you're going to do this? Republicans or conservatives did that with these anti-tax pledges through Grover Norquist's group. The question is, are we organized and mobilized to actually do that? So again, it's real simple. And I see these folk out here, and I see that it's real simple to throw out on Twitter and put on Facebook and yak away on YouTube and TikTok, tangibles, tangibles, tangibles. But I'm going to ask the question again: what do you have in place to then enforce that? See, when the election's over, I cover city council, folks. I cover city hall in Fort Worth. I covered county government in Austin. I covered it in all the different cities. I'm telling you, who's showing up at those committee meetings? Who's showing up at the city council meeting? No, not when a story blows up and all of a sudden people show up with a megaphone and start complaining. No, no. Who's showing when the policy is being made? The mistake that we're making is we do not have organization and mobilization that is in place when the election is over. You can't just yell tangibles if you then do not have an infrastructure in place to then get it when the election is over. And that's what we have to be doing.
That
We
is
were,
what we have. That is definitely what.
So,
Hey, Thomas. We got the. I know you had your hand up, but we got the great Damon Woody in here. Thank God he did not play for Texas A&M. And
hey,
I
hey,
know.
hey, watch your mouth.
Well, we're gonna whoop y'all in that second game. I will be right there, Roland. We coming up in there, the hurricane, the perfect storm. So I'm just letting you know.
Man,
Go ahead, Damon.
you've been crying about your hurricanes for the past 15 years. Don't even start.
Okay, we're gonna take care of you in the second game of the year. Damon, what you
Yeah.
got a question?
Yeah. Well, no, I just wanted to piggyback off of something that Roland said just now. He talks about, everyone gets so consumed at the federal level voting and not participating on all levels of government. And, the gentleman before who brought up reparations, he talked about the federal government, why things aren't happening. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up was if you go and you look up Evanston, Illinois, right now, Evanston, Illinois, they enacted a program. The city council voted for a reparations fund program in that city back in 2019, specifically for black folks targeting housing, whether it's helping buying houses or in housing improvements for people who own homes in Evanston, Illinois. And so I just point this out to let people know that it's not all about the federal level. Like real change starts local, right in your area. Your city councils, your state government, all of that is vitally important because there are policies that are being enacted on the local level that doesn't even involve the federal government. So that's why it's so important to be involved and stay active, not just federal when, every 2 years when, Congress and every 4 years for the president, but got to stay engaged on all levels of government. That's all I had to say.
I'm glad you did. Some brother just tweeted me, and he's like, "Oh, this conversation is Babble." This is what some dude tweeted. It's literally a federal election in November. This is Babble. Really, a federal versus state politics tirade, wasting time. No, whoever the hell you are, SS underscore BGMAXO, on the ballot in November. Guess what? I'm here in Los Angeles right now. There's a mayoral election on the ballot in November. There's an election for a new sheriff on the ballot in November. There's an election for a new treasurer. There are numerous. So people got to stop this. It's not a federal election. It's November. It is a series of city, state, and federal offices. And what I'm talking about, again, all these people, and yeah, I hear y'all, and I hear old Tariq out there lying, talking about Roland and Luther hosting. First of all, I'm not hosting this. Luther's hosting this. He invited me. Okay, so they can put me on mute. I don't control even this whole deal. So stop lying on Twitter. If you're gonna be sitting out here running your damn mouth hollering about tangibles, I'm gonna ask you again: how are you going to get them when the election is over?
Mr. Martin,
What
don't do
what
that
do you
because
have in place? What do
they
you have
gonna
in
have
place when the
they don't
I've
election
have
been
no
is?
answers.
Hold
I've
on, hold
been
on.
They ain't got
asking
no
the
answers.
question for the longest. How do you get there? How do you get there when you create all of these enemies and not align yourself
And,
with? I mean, I got
and
to
let me
sit up
say
and go.
this. Let me say this. I need everybody to understand. When Cube came out with his contract, I personally called Cube. I said, Cube, you're going to have infrastructure when the election is over. When Diddy threw out that he's like, I'll vote for, not, he said, I'll vote, it's up for sale and we're going to demand things. I said, Diddy, you have to have an infrastructure in place. I just came back, 2 months ago from Kansas City. They are trying to change the law there because in Kansas City, the governor appoints a board that oversees the police department. They are the only city in the entire state of Missouri where the governor controls their police department because that goes back to Confederate days. So when I met with them, they were like, "We need folk to vote." I said, "No, y'all got to be mobilizing and organizing right now to get 40,000 folk to agree with y'all. And then when you go in front of that mayor and the city council to say, where do you stand on local control? When you got 40,000 votes in your pocket and you know they going to show up in November, I said, everybody's going to buckle. Look, y'all, I'm trying to tell y'all, I covered local politics. I saw how the sausage was made. And when there were people who showed up every week, and I'm going to throw this out there because the sister who was talking from Fairfax County, and I was mentioning deltas. And I've been saying this, so this ain't picking on deltas. This ain't picking on alphas. I've been saying this for a decade. I'm just going to talk about Divine Nine. It's 9 organizations. Guess what? School board only meeting 10, 11 times a year. That means the alphas should say, we're going to pick this month to show up in our colors at the city council meeting. We're going to pick this month to show up at the school board meeting. And this month, show up at the county commissioners meeting. And the other 8 do the exact same thing. Now, let me tell y'all what's going to happen. If all of a sudden, every month, a group of black folk in pink and green show up. Then the next month, a group in black and gold. Then the next month, a group in purple and gold. The politics gonna be like, who these 100, 200 people who keep rolling up here every single week? All of a sudden, they gonna feel that pressure. All y'all who are listening right now, wherever you live, I want you to Google the school board election results where you actually live. You know what you're gonna likely see? Somebody is sitting on your school board and all they got was 100, 200, or 300 votes.
You
and they're
got
the
that
ones who
right.
are and they're the ones who are determining education policy where you live. You want to talk about money? Where you live, you could probably get black people to collectively pull anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000, and y'all can run 9 people if it's single member districts, and you can actually, if you get 5, if 5 of y'all win, y'all now control the whole school board. You know what that means? You now control hiring. You now control curriculum. You now control bond projects. So what I'm trying to get us to understand is stop all this damn bitching and moaning about we don't have this and we don't have that. What I am arguing, use what we have right now. Use our organizations properly. And I'm telling y'all right now, all y'all folk talk about, oh yeah, he the Boule. And guess what? Yes, right. I got the Sigma Pi Phi in 2017, and I challenged the Boule, the Grand Boules in the Bahamas. I just saw the president at Fred Gray's dinner, who just got the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and he said, I want you doing something at our convention. I said, and guess what? I'm going to challenge the Boule that we need to be using our collective power to benefit black people. So don't sit here and throw your little bullshit you heard from somewhere else up. I'm challenging alphas. I'm challenging the Boule because we have black power that is untapped. It's not being used effectively. And so we are so concerned what's happening in our organizations internally. We're not using it properly externally. I just want us to stop bitching and moaning and organize and mobilize. And when we do that, we can change the game. But running your mouth on Twitter and sitting here talking about, well, they just babbling, ain't doing nothing. And if you think I'm babbling and Luther's babbling, please show me your plan of action, how you are mobilizing and organizing. If you're not, shut the hell up.
As simple as that, because I can tell you one thing. Me and Marlon and Steve and all the guys, we get involved in the elections. We go out and raise money for our candidates, so folks don't own our candidates. And just like you said, on the school board, we get nothing done if we don't have a Dorothy Mendengal and Steve Gallen on the school board, who's the vice chair. We don't get nothing done when we don't have a Keon, when we don't have 5 African Americans for the first time in history on the Dade County dais. We don't know. We don't get nothing done. We getting things done. We got black cities around here with black mayors. If you don't, and with that, white folks are running for those positions. And so that's why I sit up and I had we had these conversations on a Sunday, and we hear this nonsense about, oh, don't vote. That's crazy. Just like you say, what affects us is local election. If you don't go out there and vote for any, you don't go and vote in the election in the local election, you gonna find yourself in a bad situation. And we ain't even talking about no judges. Go ahead, Thompson. If you got Mr. Martin ask a question.
Yeah, yeah. Before
Hey,
I
by the way, Roland, he's the resident Republican. He's
Hey
elected
man,
official.
I know a lot of black Republicans. I'm good. I mean, bottom line, I'm good with that.
He's probably
I,
the only moderate left, I guess. Hey, are you a
no.
moderate?
It's a few others, but it's all good.
Go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what side I always do. I love doing my people. You know, that's how I always feel, regardless of politics. But what I will say is this: on the all politics is local conversation, because I am an elected official locally. I just can't stress enough to the audience in here that when those American Rescue Plan Act funds came, and even the funds from Trump came down, your city councils had a lot of one time money to use. And I wish, and I want to say this again, I wish black people would have showed up and said, "Hey, my community, we have a need here or there." In my community, we have a disproportionate number of homeless students. So my council member came to me and asked me, would we mind funding the project for, honestly, pretty much a homeless center for the teens where they can sleep in the high school. We put $240,000 towards that. That came from the ARPA funds. So when you're talking about CDBG programs, community development block grant programs, to fix your house, you guys, there are programs out there at your cities, if there's an entitlement city, that will help you with your first time home buyers. There's just so much out there. So when we're talking about intangibles, we should learn what is out there first for us before we proceed forward on anything else, so that you can understand where you're growing your platform from. Ballot initiatives. I've seen cities change because the residents got together, created a ballot initiative, and got put on the ballot for the city and municipality, and they move forward with policy. So with that said, Mr. Martin, I will say that I do disagree with you about the EPA decision. That was more about administrative action, because the Clean Air Act did not have enough for Congress doing certain powers for the EPA, and was pushing to the executive, which kind of brings my point for me. I'm burnt out personally about how much we put on the executive branch, and from a local all the way up standpoint, all this politics running locally. When you look at the federal branch, the one thing that's killing us is the fact that there's a lot of issues that are stagnated because they're just political infotainment. How do you address that?
Well, first and foremost, one, I speak to specifics. So, if you're talking about what specifically you're talking about, first, now there are people. I need people to understand something because I had somebody just put on Twitter. Roland Martin said the federal stuff don't matter. Y'all, I never said that. What I'm trying to say is literally what this brother just said. Congress, and again, these for people who don't understand. Who I get, we need Schoolhouse Rock 2.0. I really think we need that. Here's the deal: Congress rushes and they pass bills, send the money to the states. The brother who was just talking, you elected on the city level, or the county level.
I'm the first black elected official for Clearfield City in Utah.
Okay,
My name
got it.
is
All
Chris
right.
Thompson.
So y'all, let me tell you what happens. Two things: Congress either sends the money in blocks to the state, or they send the money to the cities. When the money then comes, they then go, okay, how we gonna partition the money? How we gonna break it up? What he's saying is right. If we are not there demanding, hey, we need this for our project, it's never gonna get funded. So you can't stay on the sideline, cut the check, write the check. Well, if you ain't there to tell them where to write the check, they don't know where to cut it. I saw this with my own eyes. In our neighborhood, we wanted our park refurbished. We wanted new sewer system. We wanted new streets. We wanted new street lights. We wanted a senior citizen center, a old firehouse turned to a senior citizen center. The Clinton Park Civic Club petition the city council to put those items in the upcoming bond election. It was put in the bond election. The bond election passed, and all those things were then built because of the bond election. But you can't stand here and go, we want better streets, if you then don't know how to petition to get it. Well, you, the city council member, you should know. No, you got to be there because guess what? It's other neighborhoods making same demands of the same city council member. Too many people want this thing to be done easy. And they say, well, we elected you and we can go about our business. No, we have to stay engaged. That's all I'm saying. And there are billions are being passed right now on all these levels. And we're not even at the table, but we only hollering about what's happening in Congress. And so if y'all want to listen to these other people out here, and I see their little tweets and everything, knock yourselves out. But I just want y'all to understand something, okay? I've covered city government, county government, state government, federal government. I've covered school, but every level of government. Y'all want to understand contracts? Since all y'all folk want to holler, okay, all y'all people who believe that bullshit Trump platinum plan, Trump is going to sit here and give us 500 billion in contracts. You got played by Boo Boo the Fool. You know why? The federal government only spends 560 billion total in contracts. How in the hell he gonna give us 500 billion in contracts when the total number of contracts is 560 billion? But here's the fact: of the 560 billion spent annually by the federal government, only 1.67% goes to black-owned businesses.
And
Period.
I just want to make a
What?
comment on opportunity zones. Opportunity zones, because they're controlled by your local city councils, the success that they're touting you can't really have a clear success because since your elected officials decide how things go as far as zoning and things like that on land, we're in a housing crisis. Affordability is killing us every single day. Your city council is the one who's making all the policy with how the buildings look. They're making all the policy if they want to let some type of low income housing builds there. And opportunity zones, all I've seen personally is that when you bring it up to the per capita for minorities in that area, you got people getting tax credits off the back of minorities. Once again,
Yep.
off of what?
Now
And
hold
so,
up. I'm glad the
so
brother said. I'm glad the brother said that because see, for all y'all out there, when Trump and Tim Scott pushed the opportunity zones, I had a brother who was from Baltimore who was spoke at the unveiling on my show. I said, I want you back 6 months later. He came back 6 months later. He was pissed. You know why? Because the Trump people could not show how black people were benefiting from the opportunity zones. What he just said in Maryland, okay, they gave opportunity zone to the dude who owns Under Armour. His ass didn't need it. And so we got to be careful when people throw out to us, oh, this is helping y'all. We got to then say, really? Can you please show me the numbers? Who was helped? Who was helped financially? What black businesses? What black organizations? What black people? But those are the things that happen. And so, yes, that's one of the things Republicans love to use opportunity zones, and they go back to Jack Kemp. And so, but you got to force people to show. And here's the deal: if it worked, I give them credit because I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Bob Brown is still living in North Carolina. He was basically the top. He was the top black aide to Richard Nixon. Bob Brown got through all kinds of stuff. The reason Black Enterprise exists is because Ed Graves was trying to get the federal loan as part of one of the programs, and the white folks would not give it to him because he supported Robert Kennedy. Bob Brown said, "Shut the fuck up and give him the money." That's how he was able to open a Black Enterprise. So there are black Republicans like Bob Brown who I roll with, but there are other black Republicans who don't give a damn about us who I will call out. But I also call the Democrats. But what I need people to understand what the brother just said: when the money is spent in D.C. is going to the states and the cities, we got to be first in line at the city council meeting with a list of what we want funded in our community. But if we never show up, the money never gonna show up.
Bingo. Roland, man, hey, make sure y'all check Roland
I'm
out.
about to get, yeah, I gotta get dressed. I gotta be at the party in 30 minutes.
Okay, we got one more. We got Marlon. Marlon had his hand up for a minute. Come on, Marlon. We're gonna keep it short. Give Roland a short one. Don't give him a long one. And then I'm trying to get Jay here because I know Jay talk about reparations.
Brother Roland, thanks for all your work on the Black Star Network and your company as well. We appreciate you for always keeping it real. One of the things I wanted to ask you is that we saw the collective Black power back in 2008 and 2012 when our numbers went up marginally because of the connection to Barack Obama, in my opinion. How much does personality matter as it regards to the motivation of Black people to turn out more at the polls?
It's not just black people.
2016.
It's not just black people. Look, it's not everybody. Trump's personality drove white turnout. The 2016 election was supposed to be the first election where the white electorate was going to fall under 70%. That was based upon the voting trends. So what happened? Black participation went down anywhere from 2.5% to 5% overall. It was exacerbated. Remember, that's across the country, but it's exacerbated where we have major black number of voters. But white people made up 72 to 74% of the electorate. Why did Youngkin win in Virginia? It wasn't that black people didn't vote or white progressives didn't vote. It was that white turnout increased because Glenn Youngkin. So what we have to understand is that our election is still a white people, y'all. 72% of the
Mm,
total number of votes cast in 2020 were white people. Everybody listen to what I just said. Not so black people, Latinos, Asians, Native Americans, we made up the other 28%. Numbers are numbers. Data is data.
right.
What we have to do, and you're right, people do vote emotionally. Who makes us feel good? Who sounds great? Who gets us excited? We have to work hard to move away from this person excites me to what can we get out of this person. I
Right.
go back to those numbers. Luke knows what I'm talking about. The black turnout has dropped precipitously in Miami-Dade County, in
Yes.
Broward County. You can show the same thing. Listen, y'all, John Bell Edwards, a conservative Democrat, he was reelected in Louisiana, won by 30,000 votes. Right now, there are 300,000 unregistered black people in Louisiana. Gary Chambers Jr. is running, and I had some folk, oh man, you supporting Gary? Well, I ain't gonna support that dumbass fool Senator John Kennedy with that fake accent of his. But what changes if we mobilize to get our people registered? That's how Georgia changed.
So
There
Roland,
used to
one final question. What's the number, in your opinion, in this year's election? Do you think Black people need to increase their turnout to have any impact?
Here's the piece. First of all, it all is based upon where you live. Here's what I'm gonna give everybody some homework. If you live, y'all, the numbers are public. You can go pull the numbers. How many people, what precinct do you live in? I need everybody listening to me. You need to find out what precinct do you live in. You then can check it's all public data. How many people in the last midterm and presidential election voted just in your precinct? So if in your precinct you have 600 voters, and then all of a sudden you check the numbers and you see that only 100 people in your precinct voted in the last election, that means 500 didn't. That means that what you should be doing is not trying to say, if I live in North Carolina, how can I get people voted in Florida? You should be
Right.
focused on your precinct. What we should be focused on, we should be saying black of the number of eligible black voters. We should have say at least a minimum of 50% of our eligible black voters turn out. If
Mhm.
there are 200,000 or 300,000 eligible black voters, the goal is to get 100,000 to turn out. If you get more, that's great. But how do you now do that? I got to look at the numbers and then look at the precincts and know where the votes are coming from, which now means we have to be mobilizing precinct captains to be able to go door to door to move those people.
Right.
Obama won North Carolina because if you look at the total number, he won by 14,100 votes. That means that he won, I think Michelle Obama said, basically two or three votes per precinct in the whole state. As how he won. But we got to break it go from the large number to the small number. And so just start, y'all, by inquiring in your precinct how many registered voters are in your precinct, and then say, oh, well, damn, we got 500 and only 75 voted. That's called opportunity. That means in your precinct, you should be trying to get that number to 250. And then if you're working with other people, all of a sudden, if you now increase by 10,000 votes in just 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 neighborhoods, y'all could swing the whole election.
You right about that. Hey, Roland, listen, man. I want to thank you for coming on. You know, we just be on here just chilling, talking. We know, listen, we know it's some crazy people out there. I host these spaces and I get the same tweets. You know, I mean, I didn't know so many people hated Bahamians, and you know, it's only on Twitter. It's only on Twitter. But you, my man, and that's why I was happy when you came here because I know you don't run from no smoke. You don't have no problem
Nope.
having a conversation with these people. And man, everything that you're doing, and just like you said early on, it's important for people to subscribe to Black media. If you want to know things, if you want to, I look at the Roland Martin show on all the platforms.
Hey,
You know,
listen, man. Y'all, listen. Y'all haters. Y'all can hate on me all y'all want to. But here's what I do know. Every Tuesday, it's a black-owned business being featured on that show. Every
that's right.
Wednesday, every Wednesday, it's a black-owned tech company being featured. Every Friday, it's somebody black in education. Now, here's the deal. You can hate on me. You can talk about me all you want to. You can call me Boule. You can call me Alpha. Here's all I want to know. What your ass doing? Because see, here's the deal. If you don't like me, that's fine. You ain't got to watch me. But if all you doing is spending your time talking about what I should be doing, that means your ass ain't doing nothing. And so I don't give a damn what your name is, and y'all know exactly who y'all are. You can call yourselves new black media, old black media, you call yourself whatever. But do know this here. I don't think about none of y'all. I'm using my platform to elevate black people and our issues. And so download the Black Star Network. We are independent. We doing our thing. And if you think it should be done better, well, do you and do like what I did. Start your own shit. But if you don't, all you doing is bumping your gums.
Don't simple as that, and don't be late for the event because that's a very important thing.
We
My
got to
man,
celebrate Richard. So we're gonna be live streaming it. And again, for all the folk who out there, when you just running your mouth, yeah, because I own my shit, I have the ability. I have the ability to give this brother his flowers while he's here, and y'all get to participate in his 80th birthday of one of the greatest actors, Richard Roundtree. And so we're gonna be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And so we want to go celebrate that brother. And again, you ain't got to like me, But if you say you believe in black people and you support black people, I want to see what are the fruits of your labor.
And that's the bottom line. What you
My
gonna do
brother,
with
I
it?
appreciate it, man.
Thank
Don't
you,
run
my
from me,
brother.
Roland. Don't run
Appreciate it.
now. I'm here.
What you talking about? I gotta get
All right,
dressed,
you can
Doc.
talk to me while you get dressed real quick. Roland, I understand. Listen, I've been a long time supporter of yours. I've been on your program before. I genuinely fuck with you. I think that there's some things that you and I disagree with, and that's fine.
Okay, I don't know who's talking. I'm
This
sorry,
Sir
I
Major,
can't
you
tell.
blocked me from Twitter, man. I was hurt when you did that. But listen,
Well, did you use the N word?
no. I was just talking about
You sure?
it was some ADOS conversation you ran from, but it's cool.
No,
Yeah,
you probably
Ro.
used the N word. But go
But
ahead.
listen, longtime supporter, I've always fucked with you. Here's what I will say, right? And Luke, I appreciate the room. Here's the deal. I understand the idea of telling black folks we need to get out and vote because that is critical to the way in which we live, right? Fine. But to tell black folks, Roland, that they've got to vote for the Democratic Party, vote blue no matter who, when we know that systematically the Democratic Party ain't done shit for black folks. Like let's look at the holistic approach. When it comes to things that matter the most to us, right? When it comes to giving things specifically to black people, we've heard Kamala Harris, Roland, don't get mad. She's always said that I'm not giving nothing specifically to black folks. I'm not going to do nothing that just benefit black folks, right? That's what she said. But when she ran for the election, Luke, she talked about the Chucks and Pearl. She talked about smoking weed and listening to Tupac. So she pandered to black folks to get our votes. But then the second day in office, the very second day, we hear that she's a AAPI community member, right? When it comes to reparations,
Actually, that's not true.
Roland, we heard the
Okay,
tape,
brother,
bro.
if you gonna state
Wait,
something,
wait,
brother,
wait,
be
Just
factual. Please be
let me land my
factual.
plane real quick.
Sir Major, land your
Yeah,
plane. Go ahead, 30 seconds,
thank you
bro.
so much. So we've heard that President Biden, we voted for him. He hasn't done anything specifically for black people personally, like black Americans, right? So I get the idea to vote, but black folks need to either create the conversation should be creating a separate party. That should be the conversation. And Roland, I would like to see you kind of lead that champion.
All right, let me answer this here. First of all, y'all, she was AAPI before she ran. We know who her mama is. We know her mama. We know the daddy Jamaican, mama Indian. That wasn't new to us. So let's stop. Okay? Let's just stop it. So the reality is she is biracial. Fact. Fact. So that's first. Okay? Second thing, when you say doing something for us specifically, what? See, you can see again, you threw a general thing. I want to know, you please tell me what bill specific that only for us, that will have no impact, will have no that nobody else can participate. Please tell me what that bill is.
Okay, I got two. Well, I got three. Specifically, the way in which white police officers engage with black people specifically. That's one. Two, it took a long ass time to get the anti-lynching bill done. Three, reparations specifically and only for black Americans.
Okay,
Okay,
here's the
so
first
those are
thing.
the things.
Here's the first thing. First of all, if you pass a police accountability bill, it ain't only going to apply to black people. It literally is going to apply to every law enforcement, first of all, federal law enforcement officer. And it doesn't mean if you pass that bill, it's not going to be like, oh, you're white, cop whoop your ass. This bill doesn't impact you. No, so what you're describing simply will not happen. If
That's
a
a bad
bill,
faith argument,
hold
Ro.
on, no,
That's
it's not.
bad
Hold on,
faith.
no, hold up. I'm stating fact. If the bill is passed, if the George Floyd Justice Act is passed, it is not only for black people. It's going to be for law enforcement, period. Which means that if they ban the use of chokeholds, it's not, hey, chokeholds banned against black people, but you can use them against everybody else. No, it's a ban, period. So what are you talking about?
Ro, we know that if there's a federal precedent or there's a federal rule, that will trickle down, right? And then also,
No,
we're
stop.
talking
Answer
about
my
who.
question. No, no,
Well,
no,
hold on,
no. I
Ro.
want you to
Hold
answer
on.
my question.
30
If
seconds,
they
Ro.
ban chokeholds, if they have a bill that has a ban on chokeholds, what you're saying, what I heard you say, is you only want that law enforcement bill to apply to black people.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we know throughout this country that black folks are the majority of people being gunned down with impunity, right? Where there's no accountability, where there's no trial dates. Most of these cops are getting away, and how they get away,
Actually,
hold on. How they get away is because they have police union contracts that get in the way of
stop,
everything.
stop, 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 stop. And those are what contracts? City or state?
They're both.
No. Okay, right. So if you pass a federal law, how does that federal law impact that city or state contract?
There's a standard, there's a national standard, and with the FBI and the Department of Justice can set that standard. Let's
Okay.
not
No,
act
no, no,
like
no,
they
no,
don't
no,
have
no, 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 no. Hold up. No. Be factual with people. If you pass the federal law, it
the
applies to
same.
federal. No. You got to be factual with the people.
I got you, but
If
it's the
you
same.
pass the federal, no, brother, hold up. If you pass the federal law, it applies to federal law enforcement.
We
Now,
understand that.
hold on 1 second. Hold up. The bill can have provisions in it that says you must change laws on the local and state level to qualify for the federal money. So Tim Scott, he claimed when he went on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan that the reason that he broke up negotiations because he called that defunding the police when Michael Harriot had written a piece earlier where a year earlier, Tim Scott's own bill said that if we don't put provisions in, they must change their laws to get the money, it'll never happen. So you
Bro,
can't
we
just
saw the federal hate bill for the Asian folks. That was the federal standard,
no,
and
no,
it
wait,
trickled
no.
down.
Hold up. Stop right there. You said the federal bill for the Asians. It wasn't just for the Asians. What's the name of
Yes,
the
it
bill?
was. Yes,
No,
it
no, no,
was.
it's
It
not. Hold
was.
up. Hold on, no, brother. You want to go there? What's the name of the bill?
It wasn't a bill. It was the federal. It was a
No, no, no,
federal.
no.
Well,
What's
actually,
the name of the bill, brother?
I don't know the specific bill
I'll tell
offhand.
you. It's called the COVID-19 Hate Crime Act. What
Exactly,
does the bill say?
dude. It specifically named the AAPI
No,
communities.
no, brother. See, you're wrong. What
It
it
did
did
too,
in the
Roland. I
introduction,
read the damn bill.
brother, hold up, brother. Here's where you're wrong. Because see, I literally showed the actual documentation on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Roland, I've done stories
Hold up,
on it
brother.
too.
Hold up, brother. Hold up. It cites the attacks on Asians in the prelude. When you go into the substance of the bill, nowhere in the bill does it say that this bill only applies to Asians. Nowhere. In
Roland, I
fact,
am willing to debate you, and I'm willing to
hold
put
up,
money
brother.
behind the
Hold
debate.
up. I challenge anybody listening to go pull the actual COVID-19 Hate Crime Act and show me where it only applies to Asians. You simply are wrong.
No, I'm not.
You are, brother, you're
Luther,
fundamentally
let's do the
wrong.
room.
Even
Let's
the
do the
money.
room.
1 second, because here's the deal. Here's why you're wrong. Because what the bill actually does is not even a strong bill. The bill creates listen to everybody listening. The bill creates this federal database for the reporting of hate crimes. The bill does not say that it is a federal database for the reporting of hate crimes only against Asians. It says the reporting of all hate crimes, meaning if there's a hate crime against somebody black or Latino or Jewish, it gets reported. So, bruh, you simply are wrong. I,
Thank you.
I read and showed the entire bill on the show. So yes, in the opening of the bill, it cites data and it talks about what these hate crimes that were targeted against Asians. But when you go through the bill, it is not. It is not a bill that only applies to Asians. That is a fundamental, flat out, no doubt, unadulterated lie.
Thank you. And Roland, go get dressed. And I appreciate you, my brother, for coming on here and having a great conversation because I just think there's a lot of lost people out here, and the more we talk to them, we got to save them one at a time. Then we're gonna save them one at a time,
And all I'm gonna
regardless
say
of
this
what the
here,
shit they talking about.
last point here, y'all
Talking about.
Last point here, y'all say nothing was done for black people. I can tell you this here. I just came from the UNCF conference and their summit of higher education. And I talked specifically to the presidents of HBCUs, where $9 billion, where there was 1.6 billion in loans forgiven to HBCUs. When Alabama State, Florida A&M, North Carolina State, North Carolina A&T, Tennessee State received 4 times as much federal money than their own states gave them. Some of y'all ain't listening. So if you say now guess what? I ain't happy that we only got 8 to 9 billion. I want more. But the reality is, those HBCU presidents, y'all don't believe me? Go look at the interviews. They right there on Black Star Network. I talked to 12 of them, and they said we were aided by that money, which allowed us the loan forgiveness, kept doors open. But y'all, I ain't satisfied. I want to make sure the black-owned media is not getting 1% of the $1 billion that is being spent on federal ads. I had Ron Busby on U.S. Black Chambers Inc. talking about the changes we need to make sure we're getting more than 1.67% of all federal contracts. So while all the rest of these people are running their mouths, talking shit, we are having the conversations on how do we access more. So if y'all want black folk to get more, I'm saying go after the money that's sitting there right now. The ad contracts, you should be right now saying, how is it that the greatest wealth of black America are black people who work for public companies, pension funds. So what y'all should be asking, why does BlackRock control 75% of the federal pension funds? Why are there not more black money managers, more black private equity companies? Oh, see, y'all want to have that conversation? Are you doing that? 98.5% of all money in America is being managed by white people. You need to be asking yourself in Tennessee, in Alabama, in Mississippi, in Florida, who controls the pension fund? So those black teachers and police officers and firefighters, who's managing their money, investing their money? Are they hiring black firms? Are they hiring black law firms, black accounting firms, black bond firms, black PR firms? Are they doing that? Y'all should be asking those questions. So please don't come at me talking about you want to have a money conversation, because if you're not mobilized and organized to go get the money, then you're never going to get it.
Bingo. And the plane has landed.
I'm out.
Hey,
Wait,
man.
wait,
Hey,
wait. You mean to tell me that reparations is not the only thing black folks need to fight for?
Nope, because guess what?
don't
Right
play.
now, the federal government spends $560 billion a year on contracts. And in the 8A program, we are capped with how many years we can be in it, and we're capped with how much money we can make. So what you should be fighting for is also lifting those caps against black-owned businesses. All you got to do is type in Roland Martin and Ron Busby. You can see the whole conversation on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So for all of my haters who saying, man, he ain't fighting for black people, all I got to say is, like, the table is right there. The data is there, and you will see the information. But if you ain't mobilized and organized to go get the money, all you doing is just running your mouth and you listen to a fool. But y'all go ahead and listen to some other people. In the words of Frank Lucas, I'm going to get that money, and we going to do it for black people.
Bingo. My man, 50 grand. I love it. Hey, some of us out here doing it and some of us just sitting on to it and talking. And that's the moral of the story. Hopefully more people will get energized and get their ass out to some of these council meetings and understand the importance of voting. Hey man, this was a beautiful conversation here, and I
Y'all be well.
appreciate you. Thank you, my brother.
Be
Hey,
well.
Steve, you wanna
I'm here.
you got something in closing, and Thompson and all the good people, because you know I'm gonna go out and have me some dinner. I think this was a great conversation today.
Yeah, that works for me. Karish, you want to go? Well, wait. Let's start with my good friend Marlon Hill. Go ahead, Marlon.
I think Roland put it down, man. Nothing else to say. Peace out.
Bingo. Okay, Carice, you got something in closing?
Yeah, I'll just in closing saying that if anything, just take this message to heart. Politics are multifaceted. It's difficult to mobilize, but it all starts local. And I'll just end there.
Bingo. Steve, what you got to say, boy? It's short and sweet today, baby.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna keep it
I
sweet.
want. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Wait,
Steve.
wait, wait, wait. We have black women running for Senate in North Carolina, in Florida. We've got Senate races in Pennsylvania. If you want to change qualified immunity, if you want to stop having them vote on the Voting Rights Act every few years, you need to make sure if you're in those states, you're voting for Senate, and you best be voting for Democrats in those races. So I'll be the person to say vote blue no matter who on those races. I said it. There you go. So they're gonna be real mad now tonight.
Bingo. Hey, listen. Let me just say this here. I have these spaces, people, not to frustrate people. I had to control the room today, and I know there was a lot of different people. I tried to do a balance act of having different people who normally come on here and disagree with me. And that's why we had Marcellus, and we have some of the other FBA people on here to speak their piece. Maybe I did not get everybody, but we wanted to be able to utilize this young Mr. Martin's time in the proper way, so that we don't get into a back and forth, and then don't and then all of our time runs out. And so, again, people, I just hope you learned something within this conversation, because this conversation was desperately needed. Again, local elections is what I pride myself. Them federal elections, again, I don't, I work across the aisle when I get things done, and I'm what everything Roland said when it comes to school board, when it comes to local government, all the things that we've gotten done in our community, whether it was Steve or Marlon, it was done through local elections. It was done through getting out, mobilizing people to go and vote for these councilmen, these commissioners, these mayors, African American mayors, and still even voting for those, getting people to vote for them, but still being able to work across the aisle. Our mayor in the city of Miami is a Republican, and he's probably one of my best friends because he don't think like Republican. And just like you said, Roland said earlier, it's nonpartisan races. It don't be Republican and Democrats. It's just nonpartisan, where you vote for the best candidate, but you still have to work with them. So again, some folks on here have a tendency of saying, "Oh, elections, I'm not voting because I'm frustrated." I get it. I'm frustrated too because I hate to see my fucking gas go over $100, and I hate to see the food prices going up because yeah, I may be able to afford it, but I know there are people who cannot afford it, and so that's why I get my ass out here and get involved in the political process, and I do the same thing. I question people who I voted for. I have no problem with that. I jump in their shit. At the same time, if I supported them, if I campaigned for them, if I made donations, if their ass ain't doing the right thing, I jump in their shit, and I tell them also that don't guarantee my vote the next time, because my vote is gonna go to the person who's gonna make shit right for all people and all my people and everybody within this country. I don't separate Pan American Africans and all that. Last thing I checked, all of us are black. So that only exists on Twitter. I do realize that. But at the same time, people, don't get lost in the translation. It's okay, whoever you vote for, whoever you support, whether it's independent, a moderate, or whatever the hell, a progressive, or whatever, a Republican, just go out and vote. Just get your ass out there and vote. At least you can say you put down and you expected somebody. And then don't just vote, get involved. I mean, Roland said something real good. Go down to the city commission meetings, because I can tell you firsthand, at those commission meetings, they don't like to see the community come in there and voice their opinion on certain items. Listen what I'm saying. Most of the politicians at the city and the county commission meetings, they hate when people come down there and voice their opinion about things that should be done. They'd rather you stay home. And a lot of black politicians rather you stay home also, because they don't want you meddling in their business, because a lot of them done got them a bag around the corner. So I'm quick to jump out there and say what I got to say. So again, people, be involved in the political process. Don't sit shit out. Don't do it. I know you'd be frustrated. It took God and three others for me to punch fucking Hillary Clinton. And right now, I'm happy that I did, because I didn't want to be a part of overturning Roe v. Wade. And I'm not, because I punched my shit for Hillary Clinton, a lady who I don't like, period. But for the greater good and for the majority of the people, okay, I know the I know the importance of that. So again, people, stay connected wherever you get your information from. And I'll see you guys next Sunday. Y'all have a great weekend. A great week, I'm sorry.